Hey, welcome to another video. So today's is a little bit different. I did an interview over Skype with Matt Simmonds, the pro mountain biker and now skills coach. And in this sort of video for the next hour, I'm interviewing him about his background and then about loads of different skills, techniques, tips, mental tricks, how to build your confidence up, that kind of thing. All different things that you can use to improve on the mountain bike. So this is going to go live as a episode of the MTB Fitness Podcast, which you just search MTB Fitness on any podcast app and you can find that. But I also thought it might be nice to put it on YouTube as well. Now, because I've never actually used the footage from a Skype interview before, Matt's head is kind of half off the whole way through, but the audio is still great and it doesn't change the content and the great advice he's giving, so hopefully you can look past that. Apart from that, it's a really, really good interview, so I hope you enjoyed it. There's a couple of bits where the audio went a bit funny because the connection dropped, but they only last for 2 or 3 seconds, so if you just sit through them, it catches up again quite fast. So other than that, make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications for further MTB Fitness videos, and then we will get into the interview. Enjoy! Hey podcast, today I've got Matt Simmonds on. Now Matt's a pro mountain biker and now skills coach. Now today we're going to be talking all things improving your skills, confidence and technique on the bike. So Matt started off in downhill, then he transitioned to racing the EWS and now he's launched his own coaching business as well. So I thought it'd be nice if you could start, Matt, by just telling us about the last 14 years of going from starting your mountain bike career to where you are today.
Right, yeah. Thanks for having us on, Matt. So a wee lad at 14, I suppose, was playing around on a BMX and just in the local woods. A chap who is now a really good friend rode past on an orange 222 at the time, which some people may know what the bike is. And seen a big suspension, big downhill bike, was like, oh, what do you use that for? And he said, oh, I race down the side of hillsides, down the side of mountains. And I was like, that sounds a great sport. And got to know him over the next few weeks. He'd always come and play around on some of the jumps that I built for me and friends in the local area. And he invited me to actually go and watch one of the races that he was taking part in, which at the time he didn't have to do, which was very kind of him. And, parents kind of agreed. Yeah, you can go along with this random chap you only just met. And,
go to the van.
As soon as I seen a race and the whole discipline of racing downhill and riding that type of discipline, I just wanted to have a go, and it kind of just snowballed from there. Really, a few months later, after saving up several paper rounds, morning, evening, begging my older brother to give me a bit of money to help buy my first suspension bike, which I think is a Claude Butler.
Okay, nice.
Tail. But that was all I needed, rather than a BMX, just a mountain bike. Which again, you have to show what you can ride. That was at a place called Eastridge.
Yeah.
Which back in the day, that was a big downhill place, but now people are riding it on trail bikes because it's more of an XC type trail centre place. So kind of took off from there really. That winter, I think it was 2001, I kind of entered my first winter series with the Pierce cycles, and as a juvenile, and it just kept snowballing from there. My dad was my dad was into it, something different. Both of my brothers were into football. Cycling was something new for us both.
Yeah.
And went from there. I then probably raced up and down the country for, I'd say, a couple of years, just kind of learning the craft of racing, learning what the tracks were like, what I needed to do technically wise. Did I need a better bike? Say that was the next thing. Was like, I maybe need a full suspension bike now. So there I was, kind of prodding for that the following Christmas. And then I can remember I'd always buy, like, the MBR magazines, MBUK, Dirt Mag. I'd always buy them as a kid, kind of save up your pocket money to go and get a mag. And Scott were actually doing a competition where you could go and apply to be on their team. And I think Will Longdon was kind of heading it up at the time.
Yeah.
And I thought, that sounds great. Try and get my first kind of team deal. So then me and my dad went off up to Hampstead, I think it was, and you had to do a tryout. You had to race the other kids.
Okay.
I can remember being super nervous, but
How old were you for this?
What's that?
How old were you for this?
Probably maybe 15, 16.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So youth. Youth. And then kind of was lucky to have got picked for a year riding for Scott and the MUK team. We would get bikes and kit, and then at the races you'd get the help and the knowledge of, say, Will. He'd be the team manager. He'd be there racing himself at elite level.
Okay.
There'd be a mechanic that would help him, and then if anything you needed doing, obviously my dad at the time, he'd call himself a chauffeur, taxi driver as such. Like I tried to do a lot of the work on my bike as well, so then I kind of knew what was going on with my own bike.
Yeah.
And then every week I'd give it a new spray job sometimes. Get the spray can out. But yeah, it went from there really. I kind of was then on that team for a year and started to get some good results and progressed then onto Muddy Fox, which at the time the family, the Aftons, were on.
Yeah.
I got to travel with them quite a bit over the next couple of years and kind of learn from them, which again, if you can ride with faster riders, that's only going to pull you up and make you a better rider. Got to see a lot of the world racing with them guys as a junior. And then trying to think now when it was, probably 2008, I think Chain Reaction Cycles. Just before that I rode for a UK brand called Ancelotti. Bill Henson was a distributor in the UK. He supported us for a year. That was just as I was leaving school. So that was kind of my first pro deal, actually. Was leaving, obviously, he's 16, leaving school. Was kind of like, what do I want to do? Ride my bike, of course. As many kids want to do. You don't want to get a real job. Obviously, pressure from parents and stuff. You've got to bring in your bread, haven't you? So there I was. The guy who actually got me into the riding, the one who showed me the downhill racing, he took me on working with him. So he was a window cleaner, and that allowed me to do a couple of days a week window cleaning.
Oh, perfect.
And then I would go and ride. Again, we'd get like half through the day, and he'd be like, "Oh, should we go and do a few runs somewhere?" And I'd be like, "Oh yeah." So then we'd go on. Again, it was kind of just helping me. Just more time spent practicing your discipline. It just keeps building you and building you, more confidence and more time racecraft. Yeah, things like that. So that was great. But then obviously the Ancelotti team come about. They kind of pumped in a little bit of money, which means I could survive, pay my board, and get racing. And it's kind of snowballed from there. And then Chain Reaction Cycles were starting their own team, 2008. Which was, I was with them for 6 years, which is probably the longest I've been on a team. And it was really cool, to be fair. Nigel Page gives us a great opportunity, and the guys at Chain Reaction. We went from riding for intense bikes, then we went for building our own bikes with Nuke Proof. So that kind of started the whole development thing. And that's what I was quite excited to do and kind of get my teeth into, really, is a bit more learning how the bikes worked and how we can make them better. And that's kind of progressed now with some of the brands that I'm working with, say Privateer, Mudhugger, more the R&D for them. So yeah, 6 years with them, moved over to Madison in 2013, end of 2013. 4 years with Madison, had my first podium at a World Cup elite level over in France, which is a goal. What's that?
How did that feel?
Pretty damn good. I mean, coming from, say, a juvenile, a youth, I thought, wow, I'm just enjoying it, and I just enjoyed riding my bike. let's see where this gets me, shall we say, to then making a little bit of money and getting by, and then it becoming your job for the last 12 to 14 years. And with the goal in mind of winning a World Cup, to come second, it's close enough. But yeah, it felt amazing, to be honest. Well, now wife was out there and the team. It was the last World Cup of the year, 2014. We were heading into World Champs a week later. So we'll talk a little bit more about this later on, maybe. But I kind of I'd set that year as trying to become world champ. So setting goals was quite a big thing that year, and to knock that one off, get a podium, we were all pretty ecstatic on the team, and it was a big party in France that evening. And,
I can imagine.
4 years with Madison, and then moved over to Cannondale, which was kind of, then I changed disciplines, moved over to the EWS, which for some of your listeners, the downhill is obviously you get a ski lift up, you come down A to B, maybe longest 5 minutes long. The EWS is over, well, it's 4 days. You do 2 days training, 2 days racing, stage races. You have to pedal back up, so it's not lift assisted. So I moved over to that discipline for a year, but in the back of our plan for Cannondale was the prototype and working with a new downhill program. So a lot of people thought it was changing disciplines as such, but it wasn't. The bike just wasn't ready for us to get testing. So I thought, well, myself and Dan, the manager at the time, was like, well, if you give EWS a go, keep your fitness there, and then in the meantime, we can dip in and out of testing some other brands and getting ready for when this downhill bike's ready, which was the following year, 2019. And then, had a year spent with Cannondale, developing this new twin shock bike, and myself, Tom Duncan, my mechanic. It hell of a project to have worked on. Learned so much, and just a great year, really. Shame, had a few big crashes last year, broken eye socket and a few other things, but several concussions. But the speed now that the World Cup guys are going, it's pretty
ridiculous,
fast.
Isn't it?
Ridiculous, it is, yeah. So,
is there a big difference between the speeds now compared to the speeds when you started 14 years ago? Is it like double the speed, or?
It feels like that, but maybe I'm just getting older. I don't know. But I mean, for the telly and for Red Bull, it does look better. I mean, you watched the World Cup in Leger last year, and I think the average speed it's probably between 20-30 mile an hour. It felt fast when you were riding down a ski piste, but it looks really cool. But then if you have a crash, it's going to be a big
serious, isn't it?
And they were a bit more technical back in the day, I'd say, a bit slower.
Classic
bikes now, wheel size is getting bigger. If you try to ride something too tight and technical now, it'd feel pretty awkward, I'd say. But, it's definitely increased. And then the younger guys coming through now, they've got a bit different technique, I'd say, to a few of the older guys. But I mean, Greg is still, Manar, still keeping the dream alive for the older boys. But that's pretty much where we're at now. And then finished with Cannondale. The project, unfortunately, got shelved for the meantime. Who knows, he might come back. But that left me kind of wondering, where do I go next with myself? And decided. I mean, I've been coaching 2010, I think it was. I've done a coaching award with CTC and Ian Warby down in the Surrey Hills. So in between some of the races, I'd get people coming up. Oh, I heard you do a bit of coaching. Can we do a weekend? Can we do a day? And obviously now we're having a little one. It'd be nice to spend a little bit more time at home. So I was planning on racing the British rounds and stuff this year, and then coaching in and around that. But obviously now we're in lockdown. Not much
Neither
is
of those are
happening.
happening.
Yeah.
That's why we're on the podcast.
Yes, exactly. That's why we come in these great podcasts. So yeah, not much is happening at the minute, but just getting some ideas ready for when we do come out of it.
So was the main driver for starting your coaching business sort of having more time with the kids, or was it kind of something that's always been in the back of your mind that you've transitioned into? What was the final point where you said, right, I'm stopping racing and I'm starting doing this?
I think last year I had all the support that I needed to perform. The bike, we still could have, well, the bike was getting faster throughout the year, so we still could have, I think it still could have got a few more seconds out of it over the winter and been in a good place for this following year.
Yeah.
But as that got scrapped, and then I thought, I don't really want to go backwards now. I've been on so many good teams the last few years. And then now, again, with a little one, it's great to be working with some UK brands instead. So with Privateer, they're quite a new up-and-coming company. So to be working with them from kind of day one as such. I mean, not a day one because they're already working with Matt Stuttard anyway. But to come in fairly early with a brand, it feels like going back to the Nuke Proof days, really, with Chain Reaction.
Yeah.
And helping building a brand like that way, and that's kind of exciting, really.
So how did you get involved with Privateer bikes then? So I know a lot of people listening might not have heard of them and might not know that much about them.
No, neither had I until last year, until Matt Stuttard was on one racing some of the EWS rounds. So yeah, in the winter, I was kind of looking throughout what brands I can approach and kind of work with, given my background. And Tom, who's one of the founders there, kind of emailed back straight away and said, yeah, we'd be interested in talking. Had a phone call with Tom. And I mean, they're down in Sussex, so it's not too far. Like I say, UK based. Tom, I actually knew from when I was younger, which my memory, probably from too many concussions, I kind of don't know. So I have to apologise to him on that one. But Tom, being an engineer, he come and lived up. I guess he was doing work for his uni. What's it called? Placement. For a year up in Telford. So he was doing that at the time, and then I guess he went away. It's called. It's actually called the Rider Firm. I think they've got Hunt Wheels, Privateer Bikes, and a few other brands that are up and coming. So great little outfit. I was actually meant to go and meet them and learn a bit more about the brand and the company 2 weeks ago, but obviously we can't move at all. So
at least that's something to look forward to.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they just had bikes arrive last week. So the 161, their enduro bike. So I think they're getting them shipped out to everyone now. So hopefully next week we should be seeing a bit of a pro build that we're putting together.
Right, bro.
That should be out.
Oh, that'd be nice to see. Then it'd be nice for you to be able to get out on the hills then and test out the new bike.
It'd be an excuse to go off road again. I've been trying to keep it a bit calm and safe and just go down the road bike at the minute. And I think everyone's kind of got a bit sensible, not to anything.
Totally agree. Well, no, I'm the same. Like I said, like I don't have a road bike. I've just got my mountain bike. But a lot of the trails I've been riding have been like way more chilled out and sensible, and just doing a short loop. I think it's important to get out and ride for kind of your mental sanity as much as your physical health. But like you say, there you've got to keep it sensible, haven't you? And just keep it chilled out, not take any risks.
Yeah, for sure. I'm loving. There's a lot of people at the minute doing. Obviously, they're doing interviews online, but they're doing how-tos. But all in their back garden, or they're doing races around their kitchen table on their bikes and all sorts. It is pretty crazy. And it's a weird time for sure.
Well, I think kind of a nice way to go next with you. Obviously, I've got a million questions I can ask you, but it's nice for everybody to know a little bit more about your background. You mentioned goal setting is important to you, and obviously when you were racing, you mentioned that was a big thing for you. So just tell me a little bit more about why goal setting is important to you and how you've used it in the past.
I mean, this was probably going to come into where it was going to. I was going to put this in, Matt. Really, where
Go for it, you're fine.
yeah, tips for good riders who want to get
Okay.
better. I was going to.
Let's start with that. That's fine.
Okay, yeah. Shall we go with that? So, yeah.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, you go ahead. Don't worry.
Okay, right. So yeah, tips for good riders who want us to get even. Well, tips. Say that again. Tips for good riders who want to get better. The goal setting, I think, is a massive part of that. If you haven't got, say, an end goal, you can have. It's hard. You're going to get blurred a little bit. But if you haven't got an end goal, you set little ones like a daily task, a weekly task, and you just knock them off as and when you achieve them. Yeah, coming back to how you get a good rider even faster. I was going to say about analysing everything. Look for small gains in every part of the riding aspect, the preparation aspect, the nutrition. Again, the sports psychologist nowadays, you hear the likes of Lloyd Bruni, one of the top downhill guys, mentioning sports psychologist quite a lot. Building a team around you, and this is not like a big team, like a downhill team. You could build a family team. I can remember when I was younger, my family, I'd say we would eat microwave meals. But then as I got older, I kind of did a lot of research myself and learned, okay, what's proper nutrition? That helped turn my family around to eat better. So your mom is part of the team because she's making you healthier meals. Your dad is helping you. So it's like a different team aspect for different levels of rider.
That's interesting. I know exactly what you mean. So for a lot of people listening, the family around them is part of their team, isn't it?
Exactly. That's how I'd always set it up, and kind of that's about it really for.
So what kind of goals what sort of goals I know I'm just putting you on the spot now, but what kind of goals did you use to set for yourself then? So did you used to set like a long-term goal of like, here's what I want to achieve in 6 months, or was it very week to week for you? Like, how did you used to do it?
It's different stages of my career. I'd set different ones, you see. I mean, I was quite nerdy in the aspect that I love working with numbers.
Yeah.
So in the gym, like your background, I guess you can log it all. You can see progress. I would like doing that on the bike using like a watt meter, a power crank, power wheel. So you're hitting sprints 1 week, try and you replicate the same sprints in a month's time, and then kind of setting goals that
compare
way.
the numbers.
There was that, but then results wise, there was goals. I can remember just wanting to qualify when I went to World Cup, my first World Cup. So right, just want to qualify. I'm a junior. You have to qualify top 80 in the world, which was pretty hard, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure.
But just setting goals like that. I mean, first of all, it was top 80. Let's qualify, and then get a year under your belt, learn everything, learn the craft, and then hit another year. Then it was like, right, top 40, top 30, and then it was top 20, and then it was top 20 for a few years. got stuck on top 20. 7 years of being top 20, and
did you used to amongst all of that? Did you used to have a long-term goal of right, I want to be number one, or did you always think so? Did you look like ahead, like as far into the distance without putting a date on it, or did you just look this year I want to be top 30, and then the year after I want to be top 20? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, definitely. That's where having Will Longdon as the man. It's weird. So I was with Will Longdon, my first pro deal. Well, first deal I'd say as a kid, and then I come back to him in 2014 to ride for Madison. He was also running that team, and he introduced me to a sports psychologist called David Doy. He's actually up your way. I don't know where. Buxton.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's not too far.
He's in Buxton, and Dave was really good, and we just talked. I would say qualifying at a World Cup, I'd always perform really well in qualifying, be like top 10, and then I'd maybe put a bit too much pressure on myself, and then ride safe, and then end up disappointed because I would have gone backwards on the result sheet. So myself and Dave, we like goals in terms of everything you're going to do it 100%, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Everything 100%. So there's no kind of regrets then. You give everything. The best man wins. But that year, myself and Dave, we kind of set out, right, we want to be coming top 10 in these first races.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the year, we want to get 1 or 2 podiums throughout the year. And then the end goal was world champion. For 2014. So I had set that was from 3 years ago when I first chatted to him.
Yeah.
It was a long-term plan.
So you set that long-term goal and then chunked it down into shorter-term goals to hit to actually get you there.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was top 20, top 15, top 10, and then end of 14 when we got that first podium, and it was just before World Champs. It was like, second at a World Cup. As like my stars are aligning here, we'll go to we'll go to Norway and we'll win World Champs. But then I ended up massive crash in practice, actually doing some damage to my back, and then popping so many pills that I was throwing up before the start, and ended up ninth, which is not, you say ninth in the world, it sounds great, but from the week before when we were second, it was a bitter one to swallow, shall we say. But setting goals, it's massive in terms of your strength training, day-to-day life. I wanted to own my own house by say 30 and things like that. It's
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you work harder as well when you have different goals like that to aim towards, don't you? Like you say, like you just mentioned, like having the house like that all ties into your work and everything together, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, I think a nice sort of area to chat about next, and it's probably the ones that I've warned you about as well, so I'm not just throwing you onto the 7th question. There's a lot of mountain bikers who are listening to this who are beginners, and there'll be a lot of people coming to the sport now with Corona. I was speaking to someone the other day who works for a large bike company, and they said bike sales are up 700% since the start of Corona. So it's like 7 times the amount of bike sales. That's road bikes and like commuters and every type, but 700%. So naturally, exactly. Yeah, they'll be through the roof. So that's going to be bringing a lot of beginners to our sport. So what kind of tips do you have for beginner riders? Just anything that you can think of, really, for the beginners out there who want to improve every aspect of the riding.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've been looking at quite a bit recently. We're trying to set up a beginner's course now with forestry. Well, I'm trying to work with Forestry England, so we can use some of their blue and red routes around here at Hopton and Eastridge. Hopton's great because it's got the blue family run, so for the beginner, it'd be perfect. But I think the basics, you got to start at the basics. You can't go from 0 to hero in one day. You can't say I want to go and jump a big double or do a wheelie. It's doing the basics and doing them well. That's the foundation point. So first of all, I mean, when I have had some of the younger kids come to me at the minute, we will do like things like brake modulation, so learning how your front and rear brake works. And just stuff like that. So when we do get on a trail that's maybe a bit more gradient fed, they'll learn their front actually will slow them down a bit more than the back, rather than and then moving their weight about, trying to get their tyres to bite in a bit more. Lifting the front wheel. This can be done from either laying a stick on the ground, some cones, just practice picking the front wheel up. So again, pulling on the handlebars, moving weight slightly towards the rear of the bike. And then that progression.
So just stay on that point a second. Sorry to interrupt you before you move on to the next one. I think that'd be useful. So right now, this is probably something people can do in the back garden as well. You just put some sticks out and then practice riding up to it and lifting your front wheel over it. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly that. Yeah. So then when we do get onto a trail and there's either a hole, a route, or something that you don't want to hit with the front end.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier to absorb with your legs, the bigger limb, say, rather than your arms. You can pull up with your arms, soak the trail in, and then push over. Either get a backside to generate more speed. In the garden is perfect at the minute to practice that. That'll then move us into, again, lifting both wheels. This is where you see a lot of people that maybe have started clipped in have some bad habits. So we have to break that down and look into that. But a bunny hop, which, if I explain to your listeners now, is when both of your wheels come off the ground at the same time. That's using a push and a pull. So either compressing your suspension if you got some, or using your limbs to push and then pull. That is gonna, again, that's the foundation for someone who's wanting to jump later on down the line. So you're pushing to a takeoff to help. But again, these are just the starting points. Cornering techniques, flat corners, you may need to weight your outside foot, dip a heel, a berm turn, which is a banked up corner. You can stay pedals level and help generate more speed through pumping the bike and looking around the turn. These are all just the beginners level, I'd say, type of stuff we work on. Things like your saddle height for people that are wanting to climb, descend. People that are wanting to climb, make sure it's high enough. People that descended, make sure it's out of the way that you can move forward, backwards on the bike. That's about it, really.
No, that's great. I think one big.
I'm talking nonsense.
No, it's all brilliant, and that's why I'm just letting you talk. It's all ideal, this. No, don't worry. I think the biggest thing to take from all that as well is that it's about learning the basics, isn't it? So obviously you've mentioned quite a few of the basics that you can learn, and that's great for people to, beginners listening to this can maybe play back that section and just make a note of all the things you've said there. So things like your cornering, getting the front wheel up, your bunny hopping, make a note of all those, and then, learn them one by one, because you need to learn those basics before you then go on to doing all the advanced stuff. And I think maybe a lot of people will try to start at the red or the black downhill before they've learned to corner properly.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I find on a lot of the coaching that I am doing, is people are coming and they're saying we want to ride, like you say, the reds, the blacks. But I'm kind of, I have to kind of take them a step back before they can move forward. So it's like 2 steps back, 1 step forward. And that's totally it. It is getting the basics good and doing them really good, and then that'll help them move forward.
And I think what you've said there about doing it incrementally. I mean, I've told this story a few times on the podcast, but when I got into mountain biking again 5-6 years ago, something like that, I tried to just fake it till I made it. So I used to point myself down a hill, just let off the brakes and then go for it. And literally every ride I was falling off 4 or 5 times a ride, every single ride without fail. But I was like, well, just keep trying to do it. Just keep trying to do it. It's going to come together. But in the end, I ended up having a massive crash, like blew my front tire out, ripped my neck off, and then ended up tearing a ligament in my ankle and putting myself on crutches. And then I was kind of like, you know what, maybe this isn't working. Maybe I should go back, learn the basics, trying to like build up slowly. And then my riding since then, like obviously several years ago, has just improved immeasurably, because now I try with everything that I do in my riding, I try to build it up step by step rather than just go from beginner to advanced, if you know what I mean.
And that's what I was for the confidence stuff as well. Practice runs building up. Don't just feel like you need to go straight in and do something. Visualizing it, go through the section that you're going to ride. Again,
good. So this is for people who want to improve the confidence on the trails. Is that what you're saying? So maybe your beginners and your normal riders, people in general who want to improve confidence. This is some tips for that.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want to build up to an obstacle on the trail, say things running through, visualizing it, practice runs, warm up. Don't just feel like you need to throw yourself in. Get comfortable. And get some confidence under you before you start. That's all I got for
That's good, because I think a lot of people. Oh, that's perfect. I think a lot of people, when it comes to improving your confidence, a lot of people they'll feel that let's say there's a drop on a trail, and most people just go and ride it downhill. You might ride around that drop and then just carry on and say, "Oh, I'll do that next time." But
Yeah,
actually, what you're saying there, a really good idea might be to stop and just do several run-ins to it and stop at the
exactly.
top and
That's it.
practice it that way.
Yeah, that's it for sure. And that's coaching a young lad the other week at Revolution, the bike park. This is like double blacks now we're working on with him. He's 13, little
Nice.
young lad Milan, and some of the drops there I think he was phased by, but it was only when we actually stopped, looked at them, broke them down, and then ticked them off one by one, and then we worked at linking the whole track up.
Okay.
And just by doing that, as you say, it's better I think it's better just to stop, look at something. I mean, I found that with the racing, if you're struggling on a section, stop and watch riders and see how they do it. It's better to learn from watching. And this is where I'll come to say filming yourself.
Yeah.
And when I talked to you before about they have mirrors in a gym, and it's to spot bad form. It's the same on the bike. Stopping and watching or filming yourself, it's to spot bad habits, bad form. Working with your friends if you're out on a trail, watching your friends if they're better than you.
Yeah.
Watch how they're kind of tackling some of the more technical stuff. And I'm sure they'll be there to take the piss and give you a bit of encouragement along the way as well.
Yeah, but that's a really good point. You're exactly right. Like in every gym you go to, there's mirrors on the wall so that you can watch yourself. Contrary to popular belief, it's not for checking out your bicep.
Yeah.
Although some people may use it for
reason.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you want to do the same thing on the bike. So going out riding and getting your mate. I know this was obviously a tip you gave me on the phone a couple of days ago. But getting a mate to film you on a section of trail is great to be able to break down how you look. I've done a bit of coaching with, Elliot Heap,
Yes,
EWS rider. So I've done a couple of days coaching with Elliot, and he always does the same. And it was when he was teaching me how to manual, or trying to teach me how to manual, I should say.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that my bum was like touching the back wheel, and he filmed me, and it was like half a meter off. Like it was ridiculous.
This is it. Yeah.
Because when he showed me, like in my head, I had the perfect manual technique, and then he shows you the video, and the front wheel's actually only a little bit off the ground, and your bum is nowhere near where you think it is. So, I know for me, like being able to actually see that made a really big difference, and now my technique is miles better because of it. Because as we kept practicing, and then I got a couple with like the technique being good, you film that, and you can compare the two then.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, coming on to how to learn to wheelie and manual.
Yeah, that segues nicely. That.
Yeah, it does. I mean, what I tend to do as well is we go on like a fire road and a little bit of gradient, and again using either a stick, a marker, just so you can start at a starting point and work on pulling with the bars, moving your weight back, dipping your heels. It's kind of a pull and a push at the same time with your legs and your arms. I tell you what, I've noticed recently as well. GMBN, Blake has been building them little wooden, they're like little manual wheelie tools,
haven't they?
and they're great because I just seen I think it's Pin TV, his young lad Todd. I see him manualing down a whole fire road. I think he'd been using one of these tools, but just to help find your balance point.
Yeah.
And obviously, when you're in one of them, the little I don't know what they're called. I'm going to say
I know exactly what you mean. Though. You put your back wheel in it, don't you?
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone listening has probably seen them on social media.
Yeah, but them you don't have to use your back brake.
Yeah.
But that's when I was going to say, when you're out on the trail, you want to be covering your back brake. Obviously, for if you are about to loop out off the back of the bike, if you pulled a little bit too hard, you got past the balance point. Yeah, so that's it really. Cover the brakes. Fire roads are great. And just practice at the end of the day with a wheelie and a manual. It is just going out and practice. And this time that we've got in lockdown is perfect for practicing.
Yeah,
if you've got a bit of ground in your garden, a soft bit of grass. Yeah, a bit of soft grass you don't mind landing on your back on.
Yeah.
But yeah, That's it, really.
That's a great tip. So would you say that, obviously you've mentioned the technique for learning how to wheelie and manual, but it sounds like you think that a lot of it is just practice over and over and over and the repetition to be able to nail it?
It for sure. That's the same with everything. Um, Again, you're not going to go from zero to hero overnight. It is practice with everything.
Yeah.
I can imagine it's the same with you in a gym. You can't just go in and lift
That's
X
true.
amount of weight.
Yeah.
You need to start from a base and then build it up. It's
Yeah.
the same with riding your bike for sure. And practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
Or close to anyway. You can never hit perfection.
Never get perfect. Can always keep trying though.
Yeah.
So I thought a nice one to go into next. We've obviously chatted already about how, sort of good riders and how they can improve even more. I think we maybe there was a couple more tips I think you briefly mentioned, but then we started talking about goal setting. So the original question for this, for those listening, is we've talked about beginners, but there'll be a lot of people listening to this who are already good riders, who are already fairly fast on the downhills, and they want to go from fast to even better. So I mentioned on the phone, it's probably for you, for example, when you're trying to go from 20th to 10th, the gap, the margin is tiny. So how do people who are already good get even better? And we kind of briefly went through a few points, but I think it might be nice to repeat a few of them and maybe elaborate a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, after lockdown, and everyone's going to be so eager to ride with their mates, that is a perfect starting point because everyone's going to be itching to show their speed again and keep up with the faster riders. So riding with riders that are faster will help pull you along.
Yeah.
So riders that are good, if they've got anyone they know who's faster, try and latch onto the back of them and follow them down a trail or up a trail and see what works and what they're doing different to you. Analyze everything in terms of what your nutrition, training, your bike setup, your preparation running up to an event. If you're going to do racing, even going out for a ride. There's so many things you can make small gains in a lot of areas.
So it's all about when you're already good from the sound of that. Sorry, just before you go on to the next one. It's about just trying to make the small improvements in every little area. So improving your nutrition a little bit, improving your bike setup a little bit.
Yeah, everything down to sleep and
that's a big.
That's it. Yeah, if you want to get serious, everything down to just how you're sleeping. Have a coach that you work with, not just technical, but also a fitness coach. So the likes of yourself.
Nice plug.
We've dipped into it already. The sports psychologist and the food nutrition. All of them things really are just going to add up. And then don't just expect a miracle overnight. It takes time. I guess I'm living proof of that over 14 years. Yeah, it does take time. I mean, there's a few guys that come in, but they've come into the sport of downhill. There's the likes of, say, Aaron Gwynn, but he's already done disciplines other than downhill. He's done like motocross, he's done BMX. So he's already quite competitive. He's quite switched on. He knows how to prepare. He knows how to train. He's just crossing over to a different discipline. So it's still two wheels, but
I think on that, what you just said then about not expecting to sort of get amazing overnight. I know for you, you've obviously always had your results on the downhill. Like that will massively just give you a number and you know how well you're doing. Probably for a lot of people listening to this, myself, like especially, use Strava a lot just to see like my fitness for the climbs and my fitness and speed on the descents. And you can sort of week to week, you might not notice that you're getting better. But if I look back at my Strava times compared to 12 months ago, you can ride a trail at a pretty chilled out pace, or what feels like a chilled out pace, and you've taken like 30 seconds off a 3-minute descent. Like the difference is huge. So often like you don't notice a difference until you compare your times from maybe now to 12 months ago and think, oh wow, like there's a huge difference.
It's amazing what you say there though about being chilled. So coming back to the preparation side of it, if you're arriving somewhere late and stressed, then
Yes.
that's going to already set you on the back foot, kind of thing.
That is how, you probably won't know this, but that's how I broke my wrist. That literally what you just said there. Like I had a ride, I had maybe 5 hour slot on a Saturday, and I decided, right, instead of riding from my front door, I'm going to go to Gisborne Forest, which is about an hour and a half drive away. So I shot down the motorway, and on the way I was already rushing, and then I rushed around the trail, and you know when you just feel that you're rushed and stressed and checking the clock. Did a really easy corner, washed out on a berm, and ended up snapping my wrist, and it was like operation, and obviously off the bike for ages. But that was like the sole reason for me doing that. It wasn't a difficult trail; it was because I was rushing. So you nailed that one. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I just again. This is from another coach who was our Phil Dixon, who worked with us on a daily basis, and that was kind of everything he looked into as well with us. And the team that I was on at the time was being prepared and stuff like that. In terms of, say, a warm-up into a race, we'd have a time for everything. So a time that you started your warm-up, you work back from your start time. So a time that you got off the bike, ready for your race run, a time that you got on your turbo trainer, even allowing time to visualize the track. And so it was literally, you didn't have to think, you just did it. And that's the best way how to perform. You just do it.
Okay.
It becomes natural. And then outside of that, again, this is where more smaller gains, we'd practice that warm-up outside of racing, so it become natural. Yeah, these are all little things. When you get better, it's the smaller, finer details that you need to look into.
Yeah.
So
for sure. Yeah. No, that's a great tip. I agree. I think getting that pre-ride routine for a lot of riders, maybe who don't race, listening to this, like if you have a routine that you do every time before you head out for a ride, that can definitely help you, can't it?
Oh, I think in these current times as well, a routine is going to keep you sane.
Yeah. I totally agree.
If you think, well, if you've got kids like I have now, I even need to get out really early, or I go out in the evening. And it's quite nice at the minute where it feels like we're actually in summer for once in the UK, or even though it's only April. But just allowing yourself maybe an hour a ride every day. I mean, they say you're allowed, I don't know what the rules are.
There isn't actually like an official rule, but there isn't like anything official out there. But I think most people are saying like an hour and a half is like a fair amount of time to do.
Yeah, but they say, is it not your typical exercise? Well, I don't know. It depends what you do. You
could be an 8-hour ride.
Yeah. So, but again, just being safe with that, really. Yeah. What are we on?
I think that's it, mate. Well, go on. You were about to go into. I was going to say, I think a nice way to kind of to end sort of the podcast would be if there's any overriding tips that you've not mentioned already that you feel the people listening to this podcast, and it can be anybody from a beginner right up to a semi-pro rider. What are some overriding tips that you might want to end with, or anything that you've not mentioned that you kind of want to say that could help the people listening?
I mean, for your day-to-day people, I think it's just being prepared. And like I say, not going out with your water, your either a banana, a flapjack bar, something that's just going to give you a bit of energy during a ride. There's that. I mean, you've got you go into your bike, your tools. Do you take a spare tube? You don't want to be relying on someone to come in and get you, especially at the minute. Social distancing. If you're stuck an hour away somewhere, you don't want to be getting a taxi home. And then you're better rider, you're professional. I say professional, just the guys that races. Attention to detail. How does it just do the basics really well? I think. We can't kind of touch on that enough, but don't overcomplicate it either.
Okay.
Just do the basics really well, and they'll just become natural. And again, that'll just help build the speed. I
think that's a really, really good tip to end on. So nail the basics and make really good at them, and then don't overcomplicate it. I think that's a really, really good point to end on. I like it.
Right.
So for those sort of listening to this podcast, there'll be a lot of people listening to this now or watching on YouTube who might want to come and do some coaching with you when this is all over. So, what's the best way for people to find out more about you and how to work with you?
Yeah, if they get over to, I've got ProlineMTBCoaching.com, which is our website. Later on in the year, I've organised a day with RideSouthernSpain.com. We're doing in November. We're doing a holiday package, so that's November 14th to 21st. Whether we're out of this these weird times, we'll yet to see. But we've got like a holiday package and a coaching week, which would be good for people to get on, and a good excuse to
especially if they've not had their summer holiday.
Exactly, that's it. Exactly.
So that's in November, is it? Sorry, the Ride Southern Spain. So you're going away for a week, aren't you, and doing a riding holiday with coaching as well? Is that right?
Yeah, it's kind of an ad hoc thing. So their guides, Andrew and his partner, I think they'll be out there guiding, fully catered for the week, and I think it is be a good. I'm really looking forward to it. I haven't been. I mean, I've been to parts of Malaga before, but not to their place. So I think we're going to be they're going to be guided, and I'm going to be doing ad hoc coaching as and when, say, the clients might need it on the trails. And just hanging out for a week with people who enjoy riding bikes. Really, it's going to be a good time.
So where can people find about that? Is that on your website, or your Instagram, or?
If they can contact RideSouthernSpain.com, contact Andrew through that. There's also Instagram, which is Proline MTB Coaching, for Facebook, Instagram, and also I think Ride Southern Spain. Andrew's got the same for their on Instagram as well. That's about it, really.
That's perfect. Well, for those listening who want to, or either go to your website or Instagram, or if you want to check out that riding holiday as well at the end of the year, if you're watching this on YouTube, it'll be in the description. If you're listening to the podcast, then it'll also be in the description. So just go and click those links and check it out. But thanks so much for your time, Matt. I've really enjoyed it, and I know a lot of people listening will have taken a ton out of it as well.
Yeah, no worries. Cheers, fella. Hopefully, have to get together for a ride at some point.
Yeah, man, for sure. I think I might be booking up some coaching.
Right, sounds good.
Cheers, buddy.
Chilled. Nice one.